You are still praying, but nothing is changing. No signs, no answers, no clear way forward. And in that silence, you start to wonder, is Allah listening to me, or have I been forgotten? But what if I told you that what you think is silence is actually a hidden form of response, and every moment you kept praying was never ignored? Before you understand the message, you must understand this truth. You are not far away from Allah. You are being shaped by Him. 1. Your prayer is never wasted. You may feel at times that your prayers are going unanswered, especially when life around you does not seem to change. You ask, you cry, you make sujood, and then you return to the same situation. But what you are seeing on the surface is not the full reality of what is happening in the unseen. Every single moment you go into sujood, something is being recorded, something is being built for you, and something is being shaped in ways you cannot perceive right now. In Islam, nothing that is sincerely asked from Allah is ever wasted, even if the answer does not come in the form you expect or in the time you want. Sometimes the answer is delayed, sometimes it is transformed, and sometimes it is stored for a moment in your life when you will need it the most. What feels like delay is not rejection, it is preparation. Allah may be protecting you from something you cannot see yet, or preparing you for something your current version of yourself is not ready to handle. If everything you asked for was given immediately, without timing, without wisdom, and without preparation, it could actually harm you more than help you. But Allah's mercy is always working behind the scenes, even when your emotions tell you otherwise. There are prayers that are answered quickly. There are prayers that are answered after long patience, and there are prayers that return to you in a completely different form that turns out to be better than what you originally wanted. You may not recognize it at first, but later in life you will look back and understand why certain doors did not open at the time you were desperately asking for them. Even your moments of frustration, your silent tears, and your repeated sujood are not going unnoticed. They are building a story that you are not yet able to read, and just because you cannot see progress does not mean progress is not happening. In fact, some of the most powerful changes begin in silence, long before they become visible in reality. So never assume your prayer is empty. Never think that your effort is ignored. Even when nothing changes around you, something is changing within you, and something is being prepared for you. And when the right time arrives, you will realize that what you thought was delay was actually divine protection and perfect timing. 2. Silence is also a response. There are moments in life when you pray with sincerity, you speak from your heart, and you ask Allah for something deeply important to you, yet you do not feel any immediate answer, no clear sign, no sudden change, no visible movement in your situation. In those moments, silence can feel heavy, almost confusing, as if nothing is happening at all. But in reality, silence is never empty. Silence itself is a form of divine response, even if it is not understood in the moment. Sometimes what you perceive as no answer is actually a carefully chosen answer that you are not ready to recognize yet. Allah does not respond only through immediate results. He also responds through timing, protection, and wisdom that unfolds slowly. When there is silence after your prayer, it may mean that what you asked for is being delayed for your safety, or it may mean that something greater is being prepared for you in the background. Not every response comes as a clear yes right away. Some responses come as a pause, because within that pause, your path is being redirected in a way that you cannot yet see. Silence also tests the sincerity of your connection. It reveals whether your faith is dependent on instant outcomes or rooted in trust beyond what you can see. Anyone can believe when things are moving quickly, but true belief continues even when everything feels still. That stillness is not abandonment, it is a deeper form of training for the heart. There are times when Allah is saving you from something by not giving it to you immediately. What you think you need might not be aligned with what is best for you at this stage of your life. So the silence is not rejection, it is protection wrapped in unseen wisdom. And often, silence is followed by clarity. What felt delayed begins to make sense later. What felt unanswered begins to reveal itself as the best possible outcome. You realize that nothing was ignored. It was only being shaped in a way that required time. So when you pray and you hear nothing back, do not assume absence. Understand that silence is also communication. It is a form of divine timing, a form of hidden guidance, and a reminder that Allah's plan is always active, even when it is not visible. 3. The broken heart is closest to Allah. There are moments in life when a person feels completely broken inside, not just emotionally tired, but deeply shaken in a way that words cannot fully describe. Loss, disappointment, betrayal, loneliness, or long unanswered prayers can slowly bring a person to a state where the heart feels heavy and weak. In those moments, it may seem like you are distant from everything, but in reality, something very profound is happening within your connection with Allah. A broken heart is not a sign of distance from Allah. In fact, it is often the moment when a person becomes the most sincere, the most humble, and the most aware of their need for Him. When everything is going well, people often feel self-sufficient, but when life breaks them, all illusions of control disappear, and what remains is pure dependence on the Creator. That state of dependence is one of the most powerful forms of connection a human can experience. When the heart breaks, pride slowly dissolves, expectations from people begin to fade, the desire for control weakens, and in that emptiness, something deeper awakens, true sincerity in prayer. The broken heart does not pray out of habit, it prays out of necessity. It does not call upon Allah as a last option. It realizes that He is the only true source of relief and stability. This is why moments of pain are not meaningless in the sight of Allah. They are shaping moments. They are moments where the heart is being refined, purified, and brought closer to a state of humility that cannot be achieved through comfort alone. Comfort often makes people forget, but pain often brings remembrance, and remembrance is what brings the heart closer to its Creator. There are times when a person feels alone in their sadness, as if no one understands their internal struggle. But in those very moments, Allah's attention is closer than ever, not because suffering is desired, but because sincerity is found in its purest form when a heart has nothing left to rely on except Him. That is when dua becomes deeper, more honest, and more connected. A broken heart also carries a hidden strength. It learns patience in ways that cannot be taught easily. It learns to trust even without seeing immediate results. It learns to continue praying even when emotions are heavy. And this consistency, even in weakness, is deeply valued in ways a person may not realize in the moment. Over time, what once felt like breaking becomes rebuilding. The same heart that felt shattered begins to heal in ways that make it stronger, more grounded, and more aware of spiritual reality. And when healing comes, the person realizes that the breaking was not the end of their connection with Allah. It was actually the beginning of a deeper one. So if your heart feels broken, do not assume you are far away. Understand that sometimes closeness to Allah is not felt in happiness, but in need, not in strength, but in surrender. And a broken heart that still turns to Allah is never abandoned. It is being drawn closer in a way that only time will reveal. 4. You are being protected, not ignored. There are moments in life when you feel like nothing is happening, as if your prayers are not bringing results and your efforts are not opening any doors. From your perspective, it can feel like silence, delay, or even rejection. But what you see as nothing happening is often something very different in reality. It may actually be protection taking place in ways you cannot understand yet. Not every closed door is a punishment, and not every delayed wish is a denial. Sometimes Allah removes, blocks, or delays something not because you are unworthy of it, but because it is not safe for you at that moment. Human understanding is limited, and we often judge situations based only on what we want, not what we need. But Allah's knowledge surrounds everything, including outcomes you cannot see. There are situations where a person desperately wants something, but if it were given at that exact time, It could lead them into hardship, confusion, or even spiritual distance later on. So what feels like not being answered is actually being guided away from harm that you cannot yet recognize. Protection does not always feel peaceful in the moment. Sometimes it feels like delay, disappointment, or confusion. You may have prayed for something with sincerity, believing it would bring you happiness, but Allah, in His wisdom, may have seen consequences that you were not aware of. So instead of giving it to you immediately, He protected you from it. And sometimes that protection comes in the form of silence, redirection, or closed paths that frustrate you at first. It is also important to understand that what you think is best for you in a certain moment may not align with what is truly best for your long-term life. A situation that seems perfect today may carry hidden difficulties tomorrow. A person you wish for may not be right for your peace. An opportunity you are waiting for may not be beneficial for your growth. And Allah's protection often works by keeping you away from what would eventually harm you, even if it hurts temporarily. There are many blessings that people only understand in hindsight. When time passes and emotions settle, you begin to see why certain things did not happen. You realize that what you once cried for not receiving was actually a mercy in disguise. You realize that some delays were not obstacles, but shields, and some unanswered prayers were actually answered in a different form, by being redirected away from harm. This is why faith requires trust beyond immediate understanding. If everything was visible from the beginning, patience would not be needed and trust would not be tested. But life is designed in a way that requires belief in the unseen wisdom behind events. Even when you do not understand the why, you are asked to trust the one who sees the full picture. Sometimes protection also means personal growth. If everything you wanted came instantly, you might never develop strength, patience, or emotional maturity. The waiting period builds resilience, the delay builds character, the silence builds reflection, and through these experiences, you become someone stronger, wiser, and more grounded in faith. So when you feel ignored, remember that being ignored is not the reality. You are not unseen, you are not forgotten. You are being guided and protected in ways that are beyond immediate perception. What feels like distance is often a form of care. What feels like delay is often a form of mercy. And what feels like rejection is often a form of protection, shaping your life in a direction that is ultimately better for you. 5. Your consistency is your miracle. There is a moment in every person's life when they begin to feel tired of waiting, tired of praying, and tired of seeing the same situation repeat without visible change. At that point, the mind starts questioning everything. Is anything happening? Am I even being heard? Why does nothing change? But in reality, the greatest sign of progress is often not what changes around you, but what continues inside you despite everything. Your consistency in prayer, in faith, and in turning back to Allah is not ordinary. It is not something small or unnoticed. It is in itself a miracle that many people fail to recognize. Because continuing to pray when life is easy is simple, but continuing to pray when life is heavy, uncertain, and emotionally draining requires a strength that is not visible on the surface. There are many people who start with hope, but when they do not see immediate results, they slowly stop, they lose motivation, they disconnect. But you are still here, even with doubts, even with pain, even with unanswered questions. You still return, you still make sujood, you still speak to Allah in your silence. And that consistency, even when your heart is not at its strongest, is a form of deep faith that is being recorded and valued in ways you cannot measure. What makes consistency powerful is not perfection, but continuation. It is not about praying without struggle. It is about praying despite the struggle. It is about showing up again and again, even when your emotions are not aligned, even when your mind is confused, and even when your heart feels tired. This type of persistence is not random. It is a sign of something deeply rooted within you that refuses to disconnect from its creator. You may not see immediate results, but every act of consistency is shaping your future in ways that are not visible yet. Just like seeds planted in the ground do not immediately show fruit, your actions are building something beneath the surface. Growth in life is often invisible before it becomes visible, and those who continue watering their faith through consistency are the ones who eventually see transformation at the right time. There is also a hidden strength in consistency that slowly changes a person from within. Even when external situations remain the same, your internal state begins to evolve. You become more patient without realizing it. You become more stable in emotional storms. You become less reactive to disappointment, and you begin to understand life with a deeper level of acceptance and trust. This transformation is not loud, but it is real. Consistency also shows a level of trust that goes beyond results. It means you are not worshipping outcomes, you are worshipping the creator of outcomes. You are not only connected to what you want, but to the one who decides what is best for you. And that level of connection is far more valuable than quick answers or immediate changes. Sometimes, the miracle you are waiting for is not a sudden event, but the fact that you have not given up. Because giving up is easy, disconnecting is easy, forgetting is easy. But continuing to pray, continuing to believe, and continuing to hope in silence requires a different kind of strength, one that is deeply spiritual and often unseen by others. And one day, when the timing is right, you will look back and realize something very powerful. You will realize that the delay was not wasted time, and the waiting was not empty. It was shaping you, it was strengthening you, it was preparing you, and your consistency was not just a habit. It was the reason you were ready when the answer finally arrived. So even when nothing seems to change, do not underestimate your consistency, because in the unseen world, it is not silence, it is not stagnation, it is a continuous connection being maintained with the one who never forgets you. And that connection itself is the greatest miracle unfolding quietly in your life. Before you leave this message, remember this: you were never just waiting in life, you were being guided through it. Every delay, every silence, every broken moment had a purpose you couldn't see. So don't stop now, not when you are closest to understanding something deeper, because the one who still turns back to Allah in every condition is never abandoned. Even if nothing changes today, something is still changing for you in the unseen. And when it finally unfolds, you will realize you were never forgotten, not even for a moment.